You're on the Jeremy Podcast, where we bring Apple home to you. Today's show is on questions about video games versus reality. Today we have Mr. Felix, Mr. Scott. Gentlemen, always a pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Welcome back again. So, just with the first question, the impact of video games, do you reckon it influences people's behaviour in society today with violence, with games like Grand Theft Auto and etc.?
Well, first of all, are we talking about kids playing these games that are rated MA15 plus? Are we talking about kids that are younger than 15 playing these games? Because if that's the question, then I think it's not a question of whether these games are okay, but what these parents are doing. Because I think it is the parents' discretion to make sure that their kids are not playing games that are recommended for older people.
Yeah, it's a good point. GTA, for example, is rated R. You know, you should be 18 plus to play that game.
So it is the responsibility of the parents, obviously, to check the rating of what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you wanna...
Yeah, sure. When what comes to mind is this whole kind of illusion of a game where anything can happen and there are no real consequences.
Yeah.
And I think it could affect a kid that is, 10 years or younger, especially since in the court of law, a child of that age is not recognized as knowing right or wrong. And so this could be a real emphasizer of that whole quality of a child. If a kid is playing a game where you can do anything whatsoever, that could be quite bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to behaviour, I don't think it can really influence a kid.
No.
With violence, I think it can inspire some people if they've got a mental illness. I grew up playing San Andreas, and I didn't go around beating people with bats or picking up hookers in a stolen car. It just didn't happen.
Yeah, it's a good point. Personally, I also grew up playing San Andreas on my Xbox Classic, and I can tell you, the only bad thing that game ever did to me was staying inside for an hour instead of going outside and playing soccer. Apart from that, I've never done anything else.
So you would say that it probably just inspires the behaviour of people just being a bit too addicted to the game then? That's the only consequence, so that's the only behavioural...
It is an extreme claim to make to say that these games can completely restructure someone's idea of, right and wrong, Is a game able to really push someone out to commit a crime?
No.
Can that happen?
But the only behaviour from this is probably an innocent behaviour of not cleaning the dishes because you can't be bothered because you're playing the game.
Exactly. That's the only crime in my mind that I see in these games.
I'm not sure a kid should be playing it, but when it comes to violence, I don't think it's relevant.
No.
I haven't seen any evidence of that.
Definitely.
Okay, movies and TV drama shows, could they also display negative behaviour in people's lives? Like shows like Home and Away or, because this person did this, I can sort of emulate that behaviour.
Well, I think
as a kid, there were certain main characters. I used to watch Supernatural, and Dean Winchester's a badass,
Yeah.
I'd try to mimic him, but, I don't think there was ever a negative effect.
No.
It's a fantasy. I don't think it could really have a negative effect.
Like, say, for instance, how, they're blaming a lot of these shows, like it's pushing, promiscuous behaviour, sort of like on shows, and that's what I meant as well. Do you reckon it influences that behaviour too?
Well, popular culture as a whole would definitely influence our generation. You have movies influencing kids. There's this whole idea of what is cool. And that idea is portrayed on social media, movies, TV shows. Any form of popular culture can definitely influence a generation, I feel.
Cool. Okay, so TV shows like Farmer Has a Wife and all those other shows, do you think it lets people to think that being in a relationship, is it person's personal choice, or do you reckon it's like forcing people to think that they have to be with somebody?
I think it's a fantasy. People
Yeah,
watch
of course
it
it
to
is.
see what happens. I don't think it makes people feel alone or anything like that. I mean,
Okay.
I'm sure it can, but
But you know, like how you see on Facebook, oh, Carly's got a baby, oh, I've got to have one too, or something like that, or
Yeah.
they're in a relationship and I'm feeling lonely now, or something. And
it's mindless entertainment. I
Yeah.
don't see any evidence to say that has a negative effect on anybody.
Yeah.
play like dribble or something.
I would say that that whole idea of keeping up with the Joneses, you know, like your neighbors have the newest boat, so you want to get that. I feel like that would influence people somehow with TV shows where you see your characters that you relate to and you like and you enjoy watching,
Yeah.
like say Neighbours, for instance.
Yeah.
And if they have certain things, that is your like objective goal to.
Or if they have that certain look that you're
Exactly.
aspiring.
Yeah.
But there is this quote actually from Oscar Wilde once said, just be yourself because everyone's taken.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the primary thing, is just trying to sort of know the difference between, this is my thought on it, like, okay, I'm watching a TV show, but then disdaining, okay, I know what reality is too.
Yeah.
Instead of just thinking,
Yeah.
living vicariously through these movie stars' lives all the time.
Yeah, you definitely have to have a sense of independence in your life and
Yeah.
a sense of identity, because if you don't, you know, it's really easy to get run down.
Well,
But,
it is. But, you know, when I was younger as well, I used to sort of look at, like, you know, when I was 17, like, all these hairstyles and stuff. We always try to sort of, oh, man, that's cool or something. So I think it's like that. Sometimes it does have a bit of an influence on
I don't
how...
think it's
it's not a massive one, but for me, it just showed me, how to show a good sense of style or look, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's a good thing,
Yeah.
though.
yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
If one of your favorite characters has a certain hairstyle,
Yeah.
you can copy, you know.
That's all good, though.
Yeah, as long as you're happy. That's
Cool.
the main thing.
The next one is about bad language in movies. Do you think it actually lets kids to speak badly too?
This comes down to their, you know, who they hang around and who they're around mostly, because
Yeah.
as I said, we played San Andreas growing up, and that had some really crass language.
Of course it
that
does.
I wouldn't repeat it.
No.
You know? I remember once I was
Yeah.
playing, Mum was next to me, and we went into Cluckenbell. Don't know if you remember that store. I'm gonna have to swear here, but the guy at the counter says "cluckety fuck," and I was just like looking at my mum, so embarrassed, like, oh man, she's not gonna let me
Just
play
said a
it.
swear.
Yeah, and then mum was just looking at me like, you should not be playing this, but I never repeated it. Yeah, exactly. I didn't repeat that sort of language because I knew I'd get in trouble.
Yeah.
But
Well,
But you see kids on bikes and they don't have a filter and they're just swearing.
well,
You know.
you see it especially down even at North Wollongong train station. Every
Yeah.
day there's just all these like bummish kids just hanging out.
It's who their
like,
friends are, who their
you know,
parents are.
I think the biggest influence is your parents, really. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
if your parents are, you know, on your back about swearing, then you're most likely not going to swear. But if, say, a kid who his parents were very neglectful and
Yeah.
not really present a lot of the time, I think it'd be super easy for him to just
Yeah.
think these gangsters on San Andreas are cool. They're
Yeah.
swearing, they're hijacking cars, and if he doesn't have that guidance from his parents, I think it'd be easy to just think that like that's what you do. And
Yeah.
I can imagine kids starting to swear
Well,
because of that. You know?
Yeah, because I mean, if a son's hanging around his dad and his dad's like a bum, what's the
Yeah.
use? I mean, it's not going to inspire you to be anything, is it?
I had a friend named Brad, and him and his dad just swore at each other. They did it in fun, but they had no filter. You know, Brad's a good guy now, but he's a full pothead. I don't know where he is now. He's gone somewhere.
He's
but,
gone.
you know, if I said that to my dad, I'd get my mouth washed out with soap. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you sort of think it, like when they shut the door. Oh, F off! You know,
Or when they don't shut the door and
Yeah.
they leave your door open, it's like, seriously? It was closed when you came in.
it just gets annoying though when I think, but parents should give their kids a good sense of independence too.
Yeah.
You see, you got to be able to think, because my dad never said, "Oh, have you had your shower yet? Have you done all this stuff?" Because he knew I was quite capable. I mean,
Yeah.
but some, like, you know what I mean? I mean, ever since I was a kid, he knew I could brush my teeth and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
But for some people, no, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm like codependent. It's like, come on, man. But they should, like, be more like guides, but, like, not helicopter parents, really.
Yeah. No, that, like that, yeah, I mean, my parents, that has always been my parents' philosophy. With certain things, like, they've always wanted us to go out and do things and get things done and, you know, do a lot, you know, like, get out there in the mud and whatever, and they want me to be independent, and they are very encouraging for me to do things that I could grow from. For instance, like, they let my brother go on his big scout camp, which is like him and 4 others, they were like all 17 at the time, do his Green Cord, and that was like a week-long hike through like some pretty hectic terrain with no adult, and my mum had a friend of hers say to her that, are you seriously gonna let your son do that? And kind of, you know, suggesting that she's a bad parent who is careless and reckless because she's gonna let her son do that. But what ended up happening was that he came back from that and he had a really good experience, and she trusted him and he trusted himself. I mean, he's a scout, you know, he knows what to do.
I was in Scouts.
Yeah, cool,
It's a pretty cool place to be.
Yeah, it is, but yeah.
But okay, the last one is about consumerism. So do you think the advertisements actually influence people's impulsive behaviour to buy, or it's a person's choice to buy whatever they want to?
That's their job, to shove the product down your throat and make you buy. That's their job. Like,
I mean, God, like the depth that advertisement can go into. I mean, psychology. Like, I feel like advertisement is a very, very, very powerful tool, and if it wasn't, then it wouldn't be like the biggest tool that all consumerist companies use. I mean, every single big company that sells products for people will use advertisement, and I think that's because like it is so powerful. And Marilyn Monroe actually in Bowling for Columbine had a really famous interview where he talked about this pushing an idea of fear that advertising puts into people, where see this happy person, this smiling person, this beautiful person, good looking person,
you must
uses anti-acne cream, and he uses that cream, he has a girlfriend, he has a sick car, mad job, and he uses this cream. So maybe if you get that cream, you might be like him.
You'll have your shit together.
Be one step closer to him.
But how can one cream try to get your act together though? That's a bit silly though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a silly idea, but this push for striving to be as similar to a really good person.
But it's really superficial though, isn't it, when you think about it long
It's superficial, but I think it's effective.
Well, if we're thinking it's like on superficial levels, like you must look like this person because... I mean, but at the end of the day, you should just be able to say, I just feel good to be me. That's all it is.
You should be able to, definitely.
Like, and people are just feeling their emotional needs with all this stuff all the time, but they don't even need.
I mean...
Or even use.
It would be great if society had no desire. But I mean, especially in the capitalist society, I think that's so unfeasible because you need to have people desiring materialism.
We all wish...
Because the more materialistic drive, the more people consume, the more people feed the economy. I mean, that's the thing about capitalism is that, like, you constantly need people being, you know, jumping on new things and buying things and going to stores and getting products and buying creams and shampoos and putting this money, circulating it around as possible. And I think that advertisement and consumerism could be like one of the most fundamental drives in capitalist society.
Well, anyways, that's the Jeremy Show and the podcast, bringing home Apple to you. Thank you.